Hi. Yes, I can see you now.
Visible? Can you
Yes,
see
yes.
me? All right.
Okay, so first of all, thank you so much to everyone present here, and thank you, Yash, for coming to the show. And starting with the I would like to introduce you to our audience. So,
Sure.
everyone,
Please go.
I'm so happy that you are here, and Yash is actually a five-time TEDx speaker and a delivered a Josh talk as well. He has also written a novel named as Pandemic 2020: Life of the Virus. Life of the Virus. Wow, interesting topic. Okay,
Thank you
so
so
and yeah, and would you like to tell us more about you?
Sure, absolutely. Like, who wouldn't want to talk about himself or herself, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Surely, to introduce myself, I am Yash Tiwari, as you have already said. I'm 19 years old right now. I've recently turned 19. And at this young age, I work as an international youth mentor, a public speaker, a mental health awareness advocate, a professional writer, and also an award winning and record holding author of a couple of novels. The first one, which I had authored at the age of 16, a couple of years ago in 2018, which is titled A Celebration Tribulation. And then I have also authored world's first fiction novel based on the coronavirus outbreak, that is Pandemic 2020 Rife of the Virus, which, by the way, you can see right behind me. Both of my books are kept right behind me at the moment. Apart from that, as you have told, I have delivered 5 TED Talks. I have also delivered an acclaimed Josh Talk, which has received somewhere around 4,20,000 views, if I'm not mistaken, in a very brief period of time. I very frequently deliver international talks, sessions, workshops, and seminars, primarily which are centered around and for the youngsters, because, of course, being a 19-year-old, they are the ones whom I connect the best with. And I would say that in at core, I am just focused on creating a change, creating an impact on this world, bringing an impact in this world with my words and my voice. Now, whether it is in the format of written words or it is in the format of spoken words in my talks and sessions, I just focus on using my words and my voice and my potential for truly creating an impact, for opening up the locked up minds of people around me, and for doing something good for this world. So that is what I have as an inspiration behind all of my projects, behind all of my talks, sessions, books, novels, whatever you take it as. And that is what I would say encourage all the aspiring writers over here to be inspired by as well. So thank you so much for having me on the platform, by the way. Very excited for our session ahead.
Thank you so much for the amazing explanation of yours. And yeah, starting with the first, I would like to discuss our theme, like how to write impacting stories professionally.
Yeah.
So, yes, moving forward with this question only, how to write impacting stories.
Okay, so I mean, it definitely depends on what kind of subject matter you are willing to go ahead with. Because, according to me, and also according to the personal experiences that I have had so far, the kind of experience which you have while writing a story, it varies to a great extent based on the topic that you're writing on. Because when I was writing, let's say, my first novel, it was about this unheard and unspoken ailment, a neurological ailment, and this 15-year-old girl. And so the mind space with which I was writing the story, it was completely different. The kind of effort I had to put into it to make it an interesting or an impacting story, that was completely different as compared to my latest, I would say, novel, which is Pandemic 2020 Life of the Virus, and is based on the coronavirus outbreak. So definitely I would say the most strongest of forces which make a story inspiring or interesting or intriguing, they hugely depend upon the subject matter that you have. You need to focus on how different subjects require different kind of efforts, and how different subjects can impact your own mind as well, not just when you are reading them, but also when you are writing them. I was in a completely different headspace both of the times when I was writing these two completely different novels. But then again, if we just think about why this art of storytelling is so much important in the world of today, or why is it so much impacting not just on the mind of the readers but also on the mind of the creator, the storyteller, the writer, then first and foremost, according to me, this entire creative process of creating stories, of creating narratives, it expands your mind. It truly expands your mind and gives you new horizons to look forward to explore, to be fascinated by, and to walk into. Because when you are, let's say, writing a fictional story about some magic or some dragons or direwolves or whatever it might be, of course, these things are not possible in the real world, right? You cannot possibly see these things happening right in front of our eyes. But then again, even for the slightest of moment, to think about these not so realistic things, to think about these not so, I would say, non-fiction things that cannot realistically happen in our world, it expands our mind. It expands our mind and pushes us in a direction where we are thinking beyond what is possibly possible in the world that we are right now. So, first and foremost, definitely the creative art of storytelling, it surely expands your mind, it surely expands your horizons, it makes you question, it makes you feel fascinated by, it makes you think about the I would say the things beyond the ordinary in this world, which are in the extraordinary part of the dimensions that we are in. It makes you question what can be possible, which ordinary people might not be able to see right now or think of right now. And I would say that is where the beauty of this entire art of storytelling lies as well. And then, second most important, I would say, benefit of some sorts, or even the impact on a storyteller's mind in this art of creating narratives and creating stories, is that you eventually become a better communicator. You eventually become a better, I would say, explainer, or a person who expresses in a more interesting manner, even in the smallest of talks that you have, even the smallest of or the briefest of conversation that you have with your parents, your family, your friends, or the circle that you're surrounded by. It is not just always about being on the stage and delivering a story and creating an impact, because at the end of the day, if you just think about it, being a storyteller, whether it is in the written format or it is in the verbal format, is all about communicating, is all about connecting. So if you are a proficient storyteller, if you are someone who is able to create a mark on the mind of the people in the audience through the stage when you narrate a story, or through your words in a certain novel or a story that you write and publish it, then at the same time, you are also enhancing your way of communicating things in general. So, in my personal experience, firstly, this art of storytelling as a storyteller, it expands your psychological horizons. And secondly, it makes you a better communicator even in the general scenarios of your life on regular basis. So that would be my 2 cents on how the art of storytelling is so important and how it impacts the mind of not just the readers or the recipient, but also the giver, the speaker, the writer, the orator.
Yeah, definitely. And even to create stories or to communicate well, we can actually write somewhere and post on social media. We don't actually need to write a novel or go on the platforms and communicate for storytelling. Am I right?
Exactly. That is very true. I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So, following with the next question, is storytelling related to creating a personal branding, creating a personal brand in any way?
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely agree with this because, see, if you think about it in the world of today, whatever you do in even the slightest of professional manner, it can act as a personal branding booster for you. Whether it is, let's say, the digital arts that you have started to post on your social media platforms like Instagram or Facebook or whatever it might be, or a certain book that you have written, or a certain short story that you have posted, which, let's say, has garnished like 5,000 or 10,000 views on a certain platform like Goodread or whatever it might be, or even a dance video that you post, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, it becomes, let's say, viral. It becomes the attention of the masses all around the world.
So, all in all, even the slightest of things that you do in the creative manner or otherwise can act as a personal branding tool, because all of the sudden people will start seeing you as a certain dancer whose video got viral, or people will start seeing you as a writer whose story is very acclaimed, or people will start seeing you as, let's say, a digital artist whose artworks are having rave reviews on the social media platform, where you are just simply posting what you are creating on your computer or your laptop or whatever it might be. So, all in all, what I'm trying to say over here is that it is not just about the novels that I have written or a person writes that can act as a personal branding booster. Whatever you do in a professional manner can be used or can be channelized in a way that it boosts your brand as a person, as an individual in the world of today. Like, for example, I would say that my journey of branding myself as who I am right now, and to be very honest, I do consider myself as an individual brand who stands to support, I would say, support the ideologies that I believe in, to support the messages which I want to convey to my fellow writers around the world. And for that, I do consider myself as an individual brand. But to think about it, with a little bit of depth, I would definitely say that it was my novel only which gave me the opportunity to become a brand on my own, to become a brand as Yash Tiwari speaks, as I am right now. Like, for example, when I was authoring my first novel and I was just 16 years old, it was like the end of my class 11th and the beginning of my class 12th. It wasn't as if I was already a brand of some sort or delivering international talks or sessions or seminars, right? But then, as soon as A Celebration in Tribulation, my debut novel, came out in the market and it started to receive rave reviews and I would say a great deal of appreciation from all around the world, it was something which people started to identify me with. It was something that wasn't just a project of mine, but that was a part of me. That is what the people around the world started to look at me as, perceive me as, not just the novel which I have written. It wasn't just Yash Tiwari, author, or A Celebration in Tribulation written by a certain guy. It was Yash Tiwari, the author of A Celebration in Tribulation, right? So that book of mine gave me a branding of some sort, which I still carry till this day, and I always will. And my focus is on expanding that brand as much as I can, be it through my future novels or my current novels or whatever I do in future. But then it tells us that irrespective of how young you are, irrespective of what kind of creative endeavor we are talking about, whether it is literary or it is dance or it is music or it is whatever it might be, possibly, everything or anything that you do can, let's say, push you as a brand of your own, as an individual brand, creating an impact on the people in thousands around the world. That is what I do on regular basis, and that is what I firmly believe in as well. So yes, to answer your question, writing a book or authoring a narrative definitely can give a boost to your personal branding journey.
Yeah, thank you for this answer. And my next question is how to actually start with your literary journey and how to create the stories, like how to get that idea that I have to write the story or I should start making stories, and then it would be like will be impactful in a day or two. Like it won't, it
Yeah,
is not an a day process, right? So how to start with
absolutely.
that process and how to just keep improving ourselves in this art of storytelling.
Okay, so if you're talking about how to work upon your literary journey and how to, let's say, take that first step, or how to, in general, create narratives in the field of literature that are impacting, that do change the mind of the readers, then first and foremost, you need to focus on the topic, because according to me, the first step of creating a story is beginning with the topic. It shouldn't be like this, and I cannot emphasize enough of on how much I have seen this happening in the cases of many of my students, like hundreds of my students that I have mentored so far regarding novel writing or story writing, who just one day decide that they want to write a novel, and then they simply start writing the book without any direction, without any topic, like any specific topic, without any message in particular that they want to convey through their novel, or even without outlining what they want to write their novels about. So believe me on this, that writing a book doesn't begin with writing the book itself, or writing a story does not begin with writing the story itself. It begins with conceptualizing, it begins with exploring the vast array of topics that you are right now surrounded by. Like, I can assure you that there are thousands of topics that you can just search online and you will kind of overlook because you feel that no narrative can be created out of that. But to be very honest, it is only those realistic narratives coming from the ordinary backgrounds and ordinary subject matters and ordinary themes and genres that people actually connect with, that people actually relate with. So, first and foremost, try to focus on these topical subject matter which you want to write a novel on. That is the first step, according to me. Because as much topical as the subject matter of your book is, it will be more and more interesting and more relatable. Like, for example, it was like the month of April, or in the month of March, actually. That is when I decided to start writing my second book, Pandemic 2020, Rife of the Virus, which is world's first fiction novel based on the coronavirus outbreak. And at that time, to be very honest, I was working on yet another novel. It was a completely different subject matter. It was a completely different message as well, which I was willing to convey through my novel. But then what happened was that the COVID-19 started. I saw how much of a huge deal, or how much of a huge topic it had become all around the world and not just in my country or in certain countries. And so I decided to leave everything aside, pin this particular topical subject matter, and start writing a book on that. That is the proactiveness with which all of the aspiring writers over here also need to work upon their narratives. Like, you need to be searching for, researching for, and exploring as many of topical subject matters, pointers and topics in light right now, in heat right now, and then nail your hammer on them. Work upon them. Start with those subjects which you know have the attention of the masses already. So you can, to be very professionally speaking, you can profit out of it. Because if you know that there is a certain trend which is quite viral right now on a social media platform, chances are that you will fall into it because you will want to be a part of it. So for me, to write a book on the COVID-19 outbreak was all about creating a narrative that has a topical subject matter. So begin with searching for those topical subject matters which you know will catch the attention of the masses, especially because of the situations and scenarios right now, or even something which you feel is quite important, but the people are not much aware about it. So you are the one who is shedding the light on that particular subject matter. And then beyond that, of course, there is no denying that a lot of research has to go into whatever subject you are writing about. Like, to be very honest, had I not been writing a book based on the COVID-19 outbreak and I was writing, let's say, some romantic novel in a certain other genre, I still would have put in the month-long research work which I had put in this particular novel, because every subject does have a lot to research about. Every subject does have a lot of content which you need to explore. And I'm not saying that you should. I'm saying that you necessarily need to explore before you even start writing the first page of your novel. Why? Because if you yourself do not have a clarity on the subject matter, whatever you are writing, then I can assure you that you will not be able to convey it with any clarity as well. Your readers will not be able to get anything out of it apart from, let's say, being fascinated by your writing style or certain interesting storylines, certain intriguing characters that you might have written about. So if you really want to write those narratives which create a change on the mind of your readers, you yourself need to feel a change while researching about a certain subject matter, and then putting in the same amount of clarity that you have in your mind into the book that you are writing, into the story that you're writing, or whatever sort of narrative it might be. Then, thirdly, in order to make your literary work, let's say, very much connective or very much relatable for your readers, because at the end, what you want is for your readers to think about or remember your novel even after 10 years or 20 years of putting it down, right? So, in order to do that, you need to make your narratives as much realistic as possible. Like, for example, even if you're writing a story about dragons or direwolves, which of course are not possible in the real world that we are living in right now, even while writing about those fictional, unrealistic beings in your story, if you have a realism in conveying the emotions, in conveying the sentiments, in conveying the different dimensions of these unrealistic beings, I can assure you that the readers will feel connected with it, even if the narrative is not realistic. So your story or your concept does not have to be realistic per se for it to feel realistic. Focus on making I would say the feeling, the essence of emotion, the tone realistic, rather than only and only making the context realistic. Give as much of realism and relatability to whatever you are writing, because that is the only sure short way with which your readers will be able to remember and connect with whatever you are writing on an emotional level. And that is what you should be aiming for at the end of the day as an author or as a storyteller. And last but not the least, having that motivation and having a clarity on what the motivation is, what the message behind a novel is, that is essential. That is like something without which I wouldn't even ask you to start writing a novel. Because having that intention to write a novel is one thing, or having that intention to create a story in a professional manner is one thing, but that is not enough. That can at best be, I would say, 50% or 60% of the entire creative process. But having that motivation, having that reason for creating a story is what actually gives you an edge, what actually makes you a remarkable author or an author whose stories do create an impact. Like, for example, it wasn't just the intention to write a novel on this trendy subject matter of coronavirus outbreak, because of which I started writing this book, or because of which it, let's say, set all these international records, or started all these international acclaims and awards and whatnot. It was the reason behind it. It was the motivation which I had within me to pay a tribute to all the warriors and sufferers of the COVID-19 outbreak. That particular reason on a psychological level was what gave me a dedication to write this novel within a record time of just 30 days and make it my best professional work so far. So don't just focus on having that initial motivation to start writing something. Also, you need to have a reason to actually do something. You need to have a reason about why are you writing this? Why are you singing this? Why are you creating this? It is not just about you want to create this. It should also be about what you will be able to make out of it, what you will be able to bring out of it, what you will be able to convey out of this project that you have created. So that would be my 2 cents on how you can make your literary narratives more interesting, more inspiring, where you need to begin, what all you need to remember, the basic pointers and guidelines, and what really makes a literary narrative interesting and connective for your readers to, I would say, immerse into.
And like basically clearing our why before we start anything, even if it's
Absolutely.
storytelling or writing a novel or anything we do for creating ourselves. Right. Okay, so our next question is how to get our work published on the platforms, like maybe getting a book published or upstanding as a speaker, and how to
Yeah.
get through with it.
Okay, so I think the greatest of tool which we have in the world right now to express ourselves to become visible, to publish. Because visibility is what publishing your work is all about, right? Whether we are talking about publishing a novel that you have written, or we are talking about publishing a certain dance video or a singing video or a poetry video that you are publishing on your YouTube channel or on your Facebook channel, whatever it might be. It is all about visibility at the end of the day. And I'm not just saying that in a very greedy connotation, I'm saying that in a very positive manner, because until and unless you are not craving that visibility and you are just thinking that, I'm writing this book only for my own self, then think about it. Will you actually be able to bring about a change or create an impact on billions of readers out there without even having a will for it, without even having a craving for that visibility, right? So having that in a very positive connotation, I'm saying having that craving for being visible with your creative project by getting it published is very essential, because that kind of keeps you dedicated and also on your toes to keep on working tirelessly day and night regarding whatever creative project you're working on. Now, how do we do that is the main question over here, right? First of all, social media, the online tools that we have, or the platform of internet that we have in the world of today, I think that is the greatest single most platform to become visible or to get your work published. Because I personally have so many students who couldn't go into the entire paid literary publishing processes, the self-publishing processes. So they rather went ahead with certain other websites and certain other internet-based platforms where they could publish their work for free, but they do have a reach and a visibility of like 10,000 readers or even 12,000 readers or 50,000 readers per month. They have a reader base already. So now next, whenever they publish their work in a physical format, in a paperback format, they know that at least, for the very least, 1,000 people will be subscribing their copies. 1,000 people will be subscribing their books. So to begin with, that initial first step, if you're not willing to make any sort of monetary investment, that is what I'm trying to say, is to use the social media platforms or the online platforms, the literary platforms that are there on the internet for your benefit. Because the beginning should begin with expanding your visibility, right? The beginning of this entire journey of you becoming, let's say, a writer or an author should begin with you solidifying the foundation of everything. So that in that respects, the online tools, the online platforms, the platforms on the internet can help you a great deal or in publishing your work for free without any monetary investments whatsoever. Now, of course, in the marketing and in the promotion, there might be a great deal of monetary investment that you might have to make. But if we are just talking about the publishing part over here, then that can be done even for no cost at all on the online platforms. And if you think about it, the Amazon Kindle website I'm talking about, there you can get your work published for no cost at all. It will be a paid book which will be available on the Amazon website that people will buy. You will get a royalty out of it, but you wouldn't have to make a monetary payment for it. So even for the ebook that you get published only on the online platform of Amazon Kindle, which you make no payment for, you will be getting a return for it. And at the same time, you will get that prefix of being an author in the world of today. So first and foremost, if you're just willing to try out, if you're just willing to take that first step, my suggestion to exploit all these online literary platforms or these online platforms in general to the best of your ability. Even if you're just posting blogs on your social media platform and you are garnishing a lot of solid audience base through it, that, mark my words, will also help you in the long run when you get your work published in the physical format. And then beyond that, if you're talking about how to get the books published in the paperback or in the hardcover format, like most of the authors do, then there are two major options that we have in India. I cannot talk about the entire world, but in India, it is either about getting your work published through self-publishing or it is about getting your work published through traditional publishing. Now, in self publishing, as the name suggests, most of the responsibilities and most of the work will be on your shoulders only. The publishing platform will more or less act like, I would say, a middleman in the process of getting just the manuscript that you have written printed and distributed and to some degree marketed. And then beyond that, it is all on you. But at the same time, in self publishing, you have the entire control over the creative process, you have the entire control over the publishing process, and you also have the majority of the royalty coming in your hand. It wouldn't be the publisher taking the majority of the royalty, you will be getting a greater percentage out of it. And the royalty means profits, by the way. Whereas with traditional publishing, it wouldn't be you doing everything beyond you writing the book itself. Because once you get the book published through a traditional publishing platform, you and the publishing house have co-ownership over the project. You and the publishing house are like the co-owners of the project that you have created, whereas they have the upper hand on the project as well. They have the upper hand on the creative process. They have the upper hand on all the control over how the book is being printed, how the book is being distributed, how the book is being edited, formatted, or proofread, or marketed, or promoted, or whatever it might be. So in self-publishing, you have the upper hand. In traditional publishing, the publishing house has the upper hand. But the major difference over here is that for self-publishing, you will have to make an upfront payment. Like if you are getting your book published through an XYZ self-publishing platform, then you will have to make a certain payment to them to get your book published, and beyond which the royalties, the majority of which, the profits out of which will be coming to you. Whereas with traditional publishing, you will not have to pay any upfront cost to get your books published or your literary projects published in a professional manner, of course. But then you will also not be getting the majority of the profits out of it in a monetary manner. You will only be getting like 5 to 20 or 25% of the monetary payments, the monetary royalty per sale of the book. And then beyond that, majority of the monetary gains, monetary profits will be going to the pockets of the traditional publishing house. So the major publishing platforms that we have in our country, if you're willing to get your books published, or if you're willing to get any sort of narratives published, literary narratives I'm talking about, then that is self-publishing, where you make your upfront cost, get your book published, have the major control over the entire process. Or you have traditional publishing, where you do not make any upfront cost, get your book published, but they will be taking the majority of the control with them. So that is like a very clear-cut picture about how you can become visible, how you can get your work published, which you can also do for free or with a monetary investment into it. So I hope that clears out your doubts over here. And if there are any questions regarding this particular topic, just let me know in the chat box.
So following with this question, I have that doubt that going for an ebook or for the paperback format, like which one
Yeah.
should be preferred, and how the process goes with if we have to go only for the ebook or both for the ebook and the paperback.
If you're going with a self-publishing platform, then they will have specific packages which are dedicated to either getting only the ebook printed, or sorry, the ebook published, or getting both the ebook as well as the physical copies published. So that definitely depends on your budget. If you really want to start with an investment which is not so huge, because this is your first project, you are just trying out, then I would suggest that giving the ebook publishing a try is not that big of a problem. Chances are you will get to understand how to market everything, how to promote everything, how does this literary publishing process actually works in the long run, and just try things out for your first, I would say, book, for your first project in the field of literature. So what I'm trying to say over here is that the ebook publishing, and only the ebook publishing, it is going to be either at no cost at all, or it is going to be for a very minimal cost. But if you are getting both the ebook as well as the paperback version published through any self-publishing platform, specifically talking about self-publishing platforms only, because traditional publishing platform, there is no cost or any monetary investment involved anyway, right? So, with a self publishing platform for both a combined package of ebook as well as a paperback or a hardcover version, the costs for the package that you opt for will be slightly higher. But even that depends on the publisher. There might be a certain publisher who is charging like 50 or 60,000 for just getting the book published in the paperback format. There might be a publisher who is doing the same amount of work for only 15 to 20,000 rupees. So your budget and the reliability of the publishing house that you're going ahead with is a huge factor over here. But then beyond that, my suggestion for the first time authors, you can just try out with the ebook version as well to build up an audience base, to build up a reader base, to know how this entire process works and figure out what you should be doing next for your upcoming books. If you are already a seasoned writer and you know the basics of getting a work published and everything, and you also know that you have a reader base who will subscribe a physical copy, then my suggestion would be to go ahead with a paperback version as well.
Okay. So, follow like this is my last question to you, that how storytelling has impacted your career, that what are you today in a positive way, and like how it is how it impacted and how it has actually made new opportunities for you.
That is a great question because I genuinely believe that I wouldn't be where I am today had it not been because of a certain push that I received by getting my first book published, A Celebration in Tribulation, at the age of 16. Because once that book was out, it was already a huge, I would say, deal for the readers or for the, even the media platforms all around the world, that there is this 16-year-old guy who has written the first book based on the neurological Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, and that too within a record time of just 22 days. So all of that combined generated a huge reader base for me, a huge amount of, I would say, rave reviews, appreciation, acclaim from all around the world, which consequently resulted into a lot many awards and acclaims. Tried the Author of the Year award, the Karmavir Chakra award with TCC Rex and United Nations and iCongo, or the Top 100 Inspiring Authors of India award and whatnot. And then beyond that, when I was invited for my first TED Talk at the age of 17, which was, by the way, right in between of my board's examination, apparently, that also gave me, I would say, an idea about how much this certain book that I have written means to me and how much it has changed my life within just, I would say, 10 to 11 months or so, not even longer than that. So that, of course, makes me believe that even the slightest of creative projects that you create, they can not just impact the mind of billions of people around the world, but they can also change your life for good. They can also make you believe in your own self, believe in your own potentials, and get you to higher grounds, even if you are not sure about what you are doing. Because I personally was not when I was writing my first book. But when that got published, since then, I have only, and on regular basis, I would say, delivering talks and sessions and workshops and seminars all around the world. I'm invited to some of the greatest of institutions and colleges, addressing people who are like twice or thrice as old as I am since a couple of years. And I always believe that it is not, a matter of how young I am. It is only a matter of what I want to convey and how much potential as well as dedication I have within myself. Because if my first book led me to deliver 5 TED Talks, a Josh Talk, deliver international workshops and seminars, and then go on to write this latest book, that is Pandemic 2020, for which I have received the award of being the youngest author to write a book on COVID-19 outbreak by the Asia Book of Records as well as the India Book of Records, then all of this combined only, I would say, gives one message, two messages actually. First of all, that age is genuinely just a number. No matter how young you are, or even no matter how old you are, you can achieve whatever you want to achieve in your life if you have a dedication towards it. And at the same time, if you are proactive towards your goals and aims as well. And then secondly, the second huge message, which I would say my achievements or my projects in combination give to all of the aspiring writers and readers over here, is that no matter what the odds are, you need to dream big and work hard. No matter what kind of dark tunnel you might be caught up in, if you have that within you,
what you have within you, the conviction, the passion, and the perseverance. If you have it within you to be like, let's say, a rubber band and, elastic back, even in the hardest of times, come back to your creative goals and aims, work upon them, no matter how hard the situation or this dark tunnel that you are caught up in might appear to be, you can achieve a lot in your life. It is all about focusing not on the dark walls that you're surrounded by, but focusing on that bright speck of light at the end of the dark tunnel. Focusing on that bright window at the end of the dark tunnel. So that is what I would say, suggest, and that is what I request all the aspiring creative individuals over here to focus on the bright end to the dark tunnel, which you might be caught up in. And yes, that would be my 2 cents on how this book, which I had written at the age of 16 a couple of years back, made me who I am today right now on a professional level as well.
Okay, so going towards the audience questions now. There's first question that for your first book, what promotions did you have to get noticed?
I'll be very honest about it. As I said in my previous answer, it was the matter of how the book was published and what the book was all about, which automatically started to generate a lot of attention. I mean, of course, the starting might have been a little bit small, but then slowly and gradually, as the book as well as my project, the story that my book conveyed, it got the attention of a couple of international media platforms about the fact that, there is this 16-year-old guy who has not just written a book, but he has written a book on something as serious as the Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, and that too within a record time of just 22 days. That, as I said, all together automatically started to generate a lot of attention. So I think it wasn't about what kind of marketing or promotions I was doing from my end. It was about how intriguing the entire process of me writing a book at that young age, within that small period of time, and that too on that particular subject matter, which was quite unique and quite unheard as well, was what caught the attention of the readers and the media from all around the world, and then automatically started to generate a lot of acclaim around the project as well.
Okay, so hope this answers your question. We have the next question that there are some people who can write well and some who can speak well. You are a rare combination of a good writer and a speaker. How will you contribute formal education in where you are now?
I don't get the question over here. Like, what is the person trying to ask?
Yeah, can I just unmute myself?
Sure, you can.
Yeah, hi. Hi, Yash, Ruchi here.
Hi.
Hi. I will, let me just, okay.
I hope you have been enjoying the session so far.
Yeah. I enjoyed it thoroughly. So yeah, that's what I was asking. Like it's rare that people who are good at writing are good at speaking as well. So that's why I was like that you're a rare combination of both of them. You're good at it. So kudos to you for that. What I wanted to ask you is like how will you actually contribute whatever you have done so far in your professional journey and what you have reached up till now, how will you contribute like formal education towards it? Like were you in India, like we always say, like you have to do like studies, then extracurricular.
I was in India, and see, now I get your question, what you're trying to ask. And with me, the case has always been that, when I have my exams, I will just get into it. I will get into like 24/7 hours of study and whatnot. But when I don't have them, you cannot stop me from doing something creative. And even I would say my family background has been so supportive, so much encouraging, and so much pushing towards all my creative endeavors that was like kind of like a cherry on the top of the cake, which was all the creativity and all the passions which I've always had within me. Because I believe that it is about prioritizing and it is about striking that balance. Because, of course, in class 10th, I scored like 91 or 92%. In class 12th, I was a 90% scorer with science and biology. So I wouldn't say that I wasn't like a good student as such. But then again, it wasn't like I was always and only concentrated on my formal education. My extracurricular activities, my public speaking, my debating, my being a head boy of my school and whatnot, all of that was a priority for me, and an equal priority for me as much as my studies were during the time of the examinations. So even to the youngsters over here, I would like to request you with my hands folded that do not just think that if you have to follow your creative passions, you have to give up on your academic obligations, or if you have to follow your academic obligations, then you have no time for your studies. Your creative ambitions. It isn't like that. Like even right now, when I professionally am delivering all these talks and I professionally work as an international youth mentor and a public speaker as well as writer at the age of 19, I am a college student. I am pursuing my mass communication BA. So it isn't like I am trying to only get the best out of one and then leave the rest away. I am trying my level best, and even I would say working in getting the best of both worlds, and that is what my focus will always be on. Chances are that I might be doing a lot many other things as well in future, while at the same time pursuing my passion for public speaking and literature, because it is not about giving up on one thing and then pursuing the other thing because you don't have quote the time for it. It is rather about striking that balance. So to answer your question, yes, there have been a very formal education in my life, which I did respect a lot, which I do respect a lot even right now. And I prioritized it to the best of my ability. But it never made me believe that just because I am a science student with biology, I am not going to write my book, my first book, that no less, in my class 12th. So yeah, that would be my answer. Striking a balance should be your priority, not sacrificing on one thing to get the other. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Okay, thank you for that answer. And we have a next question from Ashita. First of all, It's a pleasure to have you here. What kind of things did you use to write before you wrote your first novel?
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit interesting because I used to write poetries and short stories since as long as I can remember. Like, I know that I used to write a lot of stuff even when I was 6 or 7 or 8 years old. That is like 11 or 12 years ago now. And my parents used to upload that on an online blog, which I never got to read, by the way. I mean, I don't remember reading it as such. But then it tells me that I had been passionate towards writing and creating narratives for as long as I have been alive, I would say. And then beyond that, there was always this inclination towards creating stories and creating narratives, because I used to write a lot for my school plays as well. I used to write a lot stories, short stories in particular, and a lot of poetry on topical subject matters as well. I had written a couple of research papers before writing my first book. That was in fact like the same time period only. I authored my first 2 research papers in the January and February of 2018, and then in March or April I started working on my first novel. So all in all, it wasn't as if this book that I started to work upon, my first book, it came out of it came out of blue. It was something that was unexpected. I was thinking about it, I was envisioning about it for a very long time. It was just about taking that first step. So I was already creating narratives in a very slow and gradual manner, in short steps, in small steps. But then this was like this final nail which I had hit on the box of creativity which I have within me, to affirm within my own self that yes, it is not just about writing a story of 3 to 5 pages because I feel an inclination towards it. It is about creating a narrative that is elongated, that is expanded much beyond those 5 to 10 pages, with which I genuinely want to illuminate a certain social topic of importance which might be unheard or unknown. And I want to bring my words and my voice out in the world in the best possible manner. So yes, to answer your question, I had been writing a lot of stories and poetry and stuff like that for a very long time now. But then this was like the first major literary project which I embarked upon, which I published, and then the rest is history.
Okay, we have the question that your first book, did you self-publish or it was through a publisher?
It was self-published, and even my second book apparently is self-published. But the situation with both of these books was like quite different. So basically, when I was getting my first book published, as you know, it was my first major literary project. I was just 16 years old. I had nobody guiding me like I am guiding so many people right now about how to get published or how to get your book out in the world. So I just went ahead with a certain, I would say, direction of publishing that I felt was convenient for me. I wanted to get it published as soon as possible, so I just got it self-published. And of course, in the bigger picture, it did not affect the entire I would say process of publishing or the post-production in any way. It did work out, but for so many people, self-publishing does not work to the best of their interest. However, that was that for the first book. For my second book, the reason behind self publishing was that when I had written the book and I knew that with a traditional publisher, it would take at least 6 to 7 months to even get the book considered with a traditional publisher like Penguin or HarperCollins. I knew that I did not want to wait for that long, especially for a book that is written on the coronavirus outbreak, that is a tribute to all these warriors of COVID-19 who had lost their lives, who are still suffering and struggling and fighting against the COVID-19 outbreak. And so deciding, and with full consciousness and with full, I would say, a professional consideration that it wouldn't be a right call to wait for a very long period of time to find the right publisher. It would be better to get the book published as soon as possible so as to align the book well with the trend. To be very honest, I mean bluntly honest over here. And that was the reason why I went ahead with self-publishing once again with my second book, Pandemic 2020. And that was also an appropriate decision. I know that in my future projects, if I do not need to get them published as soon as possible, like I did with my first two, definitely I will be opting for a traditional publisher and waiting for as long as I have to. But then with these two or with any other book like them, which are very topical, which align well with the current trend, and I cannot wait for a very long period of time to get the consideration of a certain traditional publishing house, I will be more than happy to go ahead with a self-publishing platform once again. Why? Because at the end of the day, whether you are getting a book published through a self-publisher or you are getting a book published through a traditional publisher, you will have to put in the maximum amount of efforts. You will have to invest every of your event, you will have to invest every of your book signing into promoting it, into marketing it, into speaking about it and creating a visibility. So if your side of effort is going to be the same, irrespective of which publishing platform you're going ahead with, then you need not to make a very huge fuzz out of it anyway, right? So that would be my personal call on this. I do not force this opinion on anyone over here. But for me personally, this is what I believe in.
Okay. So the next question is what kind of routines and habits you followed in your personal life that led to your success today?
Like writing the novels or in general, you are saying?
I guess in journal, like,
Hello.
yeah, maybe.
Yeah, Harshada. Okay. Yeah, so yes, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and thank you, Harshada, for conducting this session. So I wanted to take you back when you were 16 years old and you wrote your first novel. So at that
Yeah.
point of time, a mindset is not clear. So I want to know, did you follow anything in your personal life, a kind of routine or a habit that led you to work more better in better manner in a professional work in a professional environment?
Absolutely, absolutely. And this is something which I still do, by the way. It isn't something that you have to take me back to my 16s for. It is more or less like an ideological habit which I have within me, that when I get invested into one thing, I get invested into it. Like it is as if when I'm writing my first book, It became my world for the 22 days when I was writing it. When I was writing my second book, Pandemic 2020, it became my world for the rest of the month of April 2020. And I was able to write down the entire 320 pages long book within that record time of 1 month. Why was that possible, or why I was able to write a book which could have taken a certain other writer to write for to take, let's say, months upon months for, or even years upon years for? The reason behind that is because when I am working on a creative project, whether it is my book or my research paper or some other, let's say, article that I have been given, or a certain session or a workshop that I have to work upon, that becomes my world, that becomes my center of focus, and I kind of try to blind myself from all the other directions. And it is not about not pursuing other goals and aims in my life, but if I know that if for the rest of the next week I am going to invest my time and effort in one particular project, and I will be able to get it done, I will be able to get it completed much sooner than I would have anticipated, and it is not going to affect my other goals and aims, then what is wrong with that? Why should I not do that? So this is what I personally believe in. This is what I believed in back then, and this is what I still do right now, that when I am writing a book or when I'm working on one project in particular, I try to invest at least 70% of my focus or of my efforts and of my time on that one thing only, while giving time to other things as well. Because I already told you in the beginning, in one of the questions, which was, I think, asked by Ruchita, if I'm not mistaken, that it is not about sacrificing on other things to get one thing done or to achieve one thing in your life. It is about striking that balance. It is about striking the balance between your obligations and your goals. So if I know that for the rest of the week, if I focus more on my goals and a little bit less on my obligations, and it is not going to have a huge impact on the bigger picture, then what is wrong with that? Why shouldn't I do that? But if I know that I need to focus more on my work obligations or my academic obligations, a certain exam that I cannot reappear for, and I can write the next chapter of my next book a little later or a week later, then I would definitely go with that. So it is about understanding what is important in the smaller picture and what is important in the bigger picture. What is important for you to get done today, because you will not get a second chance for it tomorrow, and what are the things that you can postpone a little bit for a little later, not going to just keep on procrastinating about them, but just postpone them a little later to get the prioritized work get done as soon as possible in the present moment. So that is what I try to do. Live in the present moment, work in the present moment while having a sight on the bigger picture, on the future. That would be the habit which, helps me in getting work done for writing my books in a very short span of time.
Definitely. And we have a question that, did you have writer's block and at any time in your writing career?
I don't think that personally for me, I have had writer's block. Like, of course, there were certain times when I had thought of a very elaborate concept, when I had thought of a very elaborate storyline for a certain chapter or for like a couple of chapters. But then I was feeling like, why am I exaggerating so much of the story? So I was cutting short on a lot of it. I was like briefing it out, sharpening it up. But then that is not what writer's block is all about, right? Writer's block is about feeling that dilemma, that confusion in your mind about how to proceed on to the next chapter. What are you supposed to get done in this present character storyline or this present page or this present chapter to get to the next chapter? How do you proceed further with the story? My suggestion on how to beat that writer's block is something that you will have to do in the very beginning of writing the book itself. And that is to not begin with writing the book at all. I know it sounds weird, but the truth is that if you are starting the journey of writing a book without having that chapter-wise outline about what is going to happen in each of the chapter, what is going to happen from the beginning till the end in a very brief manner, like a timeline of all the things that you are going to write about in the entirety of your book, I can assure you that you will feel writer's block. If you are like those kind of writers who feel that you will just keep on writing whatever comes up in your mind and keep on going ahead with the story with whatever comes up in your mind, or just go with the flow,
that might work for you, but chances are that at certain instances, there will be a writer's block, a psychological conundrum, I would say a moral confusion about where to take the story and where to not take the story. But if you prepare that basic outline, that basic chapter wise outline of the entirety of the novel from the beginning till the ending, before even starting to write the very first page of your debut novel, whenever you feel any kind of confusion or when you feel any kind of dilemma about how to proceed on to the next chapter or to the next page, you will have this sort of GPS navigation system to proceed further, to know what you're supposed to do right now in order to get to the next outline point or the guideline point which you have already written in a basic concept note that you have prepared before even writing the book itself. So focus on preparing that concept note before you write, before you start writing the book, and I can assure you that it will definitely help you in beating and fighting and crumbling down the writer's block that you face in your mind when you are writing a book.
Okay, so hope it answers question. And we don't have any more questions now, so just waiting for a minute more if anyone has any questions. Else,
All right,
I
sure.
guess we can
Before,
end this.
before concluding, I would like to thank you, Harshita, for having me on this platform of FIFO. It was truly fun, and it was an honor, of course, to be addressing you all. I hope you all had a good time being a part of the session today and got to learn something or the other new from it. One request that I do have is to please read my latest novel, Pandemic 2020 Rife of the Virus, which is the first novel based on the COVID-19 outbreak. And I'm sure you will be able to see yourself as a part of the story, because it is something that all of us have faced, that all of us have gone through in some way or the other, for sure, in the past few months of the lockdown. And it is a globally interconnecting story. It has a lot of drama and fiction and realism for sure. So I'm sure you're going to love the read, but please do read the book, which is now available on Amazon, Kindle, Kobo, iBooks, or Google Books. So whichever version you want to get, please do subscribe, read it, and not just that, don't just read the book, but also share your valued feedback on the book with me on www.yashtiwari.org or on at Yash Tiwari Speaks on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, I'm not sure about that, LinkedIn, and all the other social media platforms that you can possibly think of. So do connect, reach out to me if you have any questions or queries that you want to be addressed, or if you just want to connect for the sake of it. Do read the book, share your valued feedbacks, and thank you so much once again for being such a lovely audience in the session today.
Okay, so just people are addressing you that it is an amazing session. Thank you for the lovely and insightful session. And yeah, thanks a lot from my side as well for coming to the session and imparting so much of knowledge to us. Thanks a lot, Yash, for coming, and thank you to everyone who are present here. We will meet in the next session soon. Bye bye, Yash. Thank you so much.
Goodbye. Bye.